realize, right? अगर आप उनको business दे रहे हो, they will do whatever for you. I think it's a lot easier to scale on marketplaces as compared to your own brand.
How does it feel to be in the same university as the world's richest person? What was your GMAT score?
When I actually walk through the doors, I can see the Ambani auditorium.
What worked for Zudio?
Only when you're a brand can you actually charge some premium and can you actually think about some profit margins there. So actually I met the CEO of Tinder. For them, the most important person is not you, it's the customer.
So how did you scale on marketplaces and like how to get first 100 organic reviews on a marketplace? In an RTO, the guy received a pad, like a sanitary pad.
आपको लगता है इस बार तो मतलब बहुत पैसे आ जाएंगे. Yeah, definitely people know that अगले 10-15 years में all growth will come from Asian countries and within that from India. Just because there's no seat at the table does not mean that you cannot pull up your own.
Welcome back to yet another episode by Just Because. Today we have Mansi Jain with us. She is currently pursuing her MBA from the very prestigious Wharton University and she has a fast fashion business by the name of Nova, and let's just get straight into it. So Mansi, how does it feel to be in the same university as the world's richest person?
It's very surreal. When I actually walk through the doors, I can see the Ambani auditorium, which makes me very, very proud. Alongside me, of course, there are also ultra rich people who come and sit with me in the same classes. So I think it's a great opportunity to learn and, of course, to contribute more as I go through the process myself.
What is the Ambani Auditorium for the viewers who don't know?
So it's I think the biggest auditorium that we have at Wharton. It has about 500 odd seats. It's a huge auditorium with like a big screen, and all the big events actually happen there.
Nice. So, if anyone is seeing here, like, who is planning to go into one of the best B schools, can you like tell us what is the curriculum like? Is it more workshop based, or is it more academic based? Is it more experiential based? Like, what is the industry standard at Wharton?
So most of the top B schools actually follow this method called the case study method. So just to give a little context, any of the classes that we have, mostly we'll talk about, let's say, one company or two companies, and then we'll go really deep into what worked for them, what didn't work for them. So, and alongside that, one of the main USPs of these schools is that they really ensure that people from diverse backgrounds are coming into the class. So, for example, even if we're talking about, let's say, a very random bed company, it's a very, very good likelihood that somebody from that company is in class with us. So not just the professor, but that person can add more nuance to the class and the learnings that we have.
So, like, can you tell us more about what kind of guests come? Like, what kind of workshops do you have over there?
So actually I met the CEO of Tinder.
Tinder, Faye. That was fantastic. We also have Bobby Parker. So it's a very famous eyewear brand in the US, which was started by a Wharton alum. And alongside that, of course, I'm a part of the retail club, for example, because that's something I'm really interested in. So there are a lot of workshops and a lot of site visits that we do where we actually go to stores, we meet the team, we meet the CEOs. So it's actually a really fun experience, something that I would never have
If I were not.
pursuing my MBA from Wharton, for example.
If someone is like here trying to apply to Wharton, like can you help them with like any 3 to 4 tips?
Okay, my top 3 tips that I give to anybody is first, take your GMAT early. A lot of times what happens is you try to push it as much as you can because किसी को पसंद नहीं है पढ़ना. But if you take it when you're still in school, in your undergrad, it's just easier and you can get a better score. Second tip is to probably get a good admissions consultant because they can really help you figure out your story and what works for you or not. And third and the most important thing is कि whenever you're, let's say, in school या फिर आप internship कर रहे हो, try to ensure कि you do something extraordinary there. Try to really put your heart into what you're doing because that really shines through and that really shows in the essays that you write eventually for your B school applications.
So, like as you mentioned, essay, like the Hollywood aspect has really heightened the part where you know कि essay has to be that perfect thing. तुम्हारा essay बहुत perfect होना चाहिए, तभी you'll get into it. Like they just highlight the essay part so much. So is it like overhyped, or is it actually that valuable? Like, what is it you write in that essay to get qualified? We want to know.
It's very interesting. The 3 months when I was writing my essays, I had forgotten how to smile. I was just stressed out the entire time. क्योंकि story तो वही है ना. How many times are you going to edit it? But I think the main point of an essay is to really get deep down into what matters to you. So, for example, some of the questions that are there is like literally one of the schools has a question which is what matters to you the most and why. And this is such a bizarre and a long question. इसमें क्या बोलोगे? अभी if I ask you, it's a very very deep question. So you have to really introspect कि ever since you were a kid, what are the things that you did and what is that one common thread that tied everything together. So हाँ, essay is one of the most important things in your application, and उसमें बहुत time लगता है.
What did you write?
So I actually wrote about my journey with Nobar, touched upon personally why this category for me, what motivated me to get through this journey. So that's what I wrote about.
What do you think? Like, you have been there in the university since almost 6 months. What ऐसा आपने क्या mindset देखा है वहाँ के students के साथ या वहाँ के alumni के साथ या वहाँ के teachers के साथ जो आपको लगता है कि this is what differentiates someone as a mindset shift, like this is why they are important.
Very interesting question. Mindset. Actually, this is a very funny thing that my dad says, which is कि आप कहीं भी चले जाओ, होता सब कुछ same ही है. So it's not कि people who are here in any university are any less than people who are there at Wharton. But I think one mindset change is definitely कि they're all hustlers. They are go-getters. They don't take no for an answer. You will figure out ways. अगर एक internship नहीं मिली, they'll figure out ways to get the second internship. They're just at it. And so जब you're in that environment where everybody around you is working so hard, then you're also bound to work hard. I think that's what makes most big colleges successful, and that's what we talk about in terms of network effects also, right? कि आपके network में कौन लोग हैं, वो कैसा behave कर रहे हैं, that determines how you also behave.
So like peer learning, I'm assuming कि बहुत ज़्यादा solid होती होगी because of this reason.
Yes.
So what are your plans after Wharton? Like, are you looking for any placement, or are you planning to come to India and give 100% to Nobar? Like, what are your plans?
I really want to be in the fashion, retail, consumer industry, so that can take different forms. I would want to be in the US for some time. Because I think there are a lot of learnings that I can get from how the US market is operating right now. So I want to be there for some time, but definitely long term, I don't think there's anything better than India at all. Because इतने सारे लोग हैं, there's so much you can do. Another thing that my dad says is कि यहाँ पर मतलब तुम कुछ भी बना के कुछ भी बेच सकते हो इंडिया में. तो that's definitely something I would want to do.
Coming back, like,
Eventually in the long term.
So, tell me, Mansi, like, since we know कि in the last decade, like the top CEOs of majorly of all the US companies are now Indian. So, has this made some difference in how people in the US look at Indians? मतलब कुछ difference आया है उस direction में? Because I was talking to my friend the other day. She lives in New York, and we were having a discussion over this topic. She's in Parsons, and she was talking about that how Indians are now being treated very differently. कि वो होता है ना कि 10 साल बाद जॉब खा लेंगे. So have you felt it too?
Yeah, actually, in one of my classes, there was we were discussing how name also plays a very very big role in how people perceive you. So somebody with a very conventional Indian name, let's say in the IT industry, will be taken as somebody who's maybe a software engineer, even if they are high up in the rank.
Like a Rohan or like
Like a Rohan, तो बहुत बार वो लोग क्या करते हैं कि रोहन की जगह they'll go by रो ताकि when people say रोहन they assume कि वो सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर होगा या IT पर्सन होगा, तो that nuance has been there, but I definitely think that that is changing. Overall perception of India with the Ambani wedding, with overall like the exuberance that we're showing on social media around India, things are definitely changing. It's interesting. One of the other classes that I took, usme we were every class we talk about India.
Really?
Even like one time we were talking about Bollywood in class. Ki what is the influence of Bollywood? Can somebody enter Bollywood?
In what? And you're talking about Bollywood.
It's insane. So I think India definitely people know that अगले 10-15 years में all growth will come from Asian countries, and within that from India. So everybody's looking at India right now.
And like, what was your GMAT score? Because I don't want any comments to be like, इसने इसका GMAT score नहीं पूछा.
Like I told you, take your GMAT early. I took it when I was in the 3rd year of my college. So I got 760, which is the 99th percentile in the GMAT. So
And what is the minimum GMAT score you require to enter into Wharton stand for? Like, is there any minimum score?
so they look at diverse profiles. I know friends who have, let's say, a 690 GMAT as well, and they are there, but usually bolte hain for Indians, a median is a 740, 730 or 740 GMAT.
Dating pool in Wharton, like, आप क्यों नहीं ढूंढ लेते हो कोई Wharton में?
Life is set.
I was discussing this with friends. I think a 10 in the US is probably a 6 in Delhi.
Can you elaborate? You lost me here.
Yeah, I mean, it's very counterintuitive, but it's just, I don't know. I think in India, I think you have a better scope in finding people in India than in the US.
Why? What makes you say this?
It turns out that Indians are probably more progressive in their thinking than the NRIs.
Like, can you give an example?
Because I feel
But when those people left India, they left it 20-30 years ago. And that time, India was so different than the India that it is today. But they, in their minds, India is the same.
Oh, like that series, that Devi girl.
Yeah. Never have I ever. Yes, it's similar, right? So, उनको अभी भी लगता है कि, for example, maybe a live-in is a taboo. Versus in India, I think now things are changing. So, that just makes it all like a lot harder.
Nice insight. Because वो तो अभी भी भाई उसी उधर ही फंसे हुए हैं. In that.
A lot of times they don't visit India. उनको नहीं पता कि like the kind of growth that we are seeing.
So, I think covered Sarah my Wharton questions. I'll now shift to conversation from Wharton to e-commerce. So, Mansi, tell me, how has like doing and like pursuing MBA at one direction and then making your business go autopilot mode in direction, like how's the journey been?
Sleepless nights. But apart from that, there are people who are capable of taking the business through. So we have an external leadership who now handles the business for us. So with now, when I'm in the US, I would probably speak to my team over the weekends and we will discuss if any strategically we need to make any changes. But apart from that, I think the team is now taking care of it.
I've known that people are shopping from Nobar, but they don't know the brand Nobar. So if I am very sure that people here, some of the viewers might also have the clothes. So can you tell us a little bit about your brand building?
Okay. So we started off, so Nobar, the name, started because I wanted to ensure that the brand that I'm launching is size inclusive, is affordable, it's accessible, so we are present across all channels. So how do we remove all barriers to fashion? So from that, I came up with the name No Bar. So no barriers to fashion is how I like to call it. So I was very sure initially that we wanted to be an e-com brand. This was a very piloty start. I was still in college. I didn't know what I want to do. This is something that interested me.
I remember you told me first the name was something else.
Yeah, it was, for some reason, it was Mansi Collections.
I was just
really ashamed of even saying it because I'm not a designer per se. So I'm really happy with the rebrand now. Now we're Nobar. We started off with Amazon, Flipkart, which I think is the easiest platform if anybody wants to start their business. Those are open source platforms, as we call them. You don't really need a lot of documentation for that. And then eventually, as we started growing, Mintras, Nykas of the world started approaching us, ki, we want to list you on our platform.
So, like, from where do you import your garments, and like, what is the business model over here?
Our moat, as we say, lies in the sourcing. So we have partner factories both in India as well as Bangladesh, Vietnam. So that's where we import our clothes from.
Got it. If like supposedly a Tommy Hilfiger sweater that costs around 6K on an average in India, what is the cost price of that sweater actually?
I think I'll get into trouble, but I think it's around 10 to 15%. But it makes sense, right? Because them as a brand, they're taking care of. Sure, they have to get the garment produced, but they also have a lot of admin problems. They also have a lot of costs which relates to transportation, stores. So you need a healthy margin in the industry.
So, like, what platform really works the best for you, and what do you think why?
तो हमारी main average selling price or the ASP is around ₹100. So in that range for us, mostly Flipkart does really well, Myntra does really well for us. I think most of our audience is from tier 2 cities because of this price point. And why? Because we sell very basic clothes, trendy, basic, and affordable clothing. So I think tier 2, tier 3, we have a good mix of people from those regions. And then, of course, there is Gurgaon and Delhi also in the prominent regions.
So, like, what price point do you think works best for you in the tier 2 and tier 3 segment? Like, what's the sweetest spot for the price point?
So around 500 to 600. So it varies. During summers, our price point will be around 400, 700, 800. We have some jackets recently which are about 1400. So of course, it depends on the product as well. But that is the sweet spot.
Since you have been listed on Nykaa and like, the Myntra for such a long time, on what percentage are you currently? Can you share that?
These marketplaces follow two kinds of models, which you should be aware of, right? एक होता है जिसमें there is a flat percentage and then you pay for the shipping, return, etc. And then there's another one which is outright, which is कि marketplace will charge a certain percentage of the selling price from you, and then जितना भी return वगैरह होगा, all of that they will manage. So there are two kinds of models that are there in the e-com industry. So with some marketplaces we follow an outright, with some marketplaces we follow the other model. So I think if you're building a brand, what you should be cognizant of ki is your product returnable. हमारे सबसे the biggest profit drainer for us is returns. क्योंकि not only sometimes we get wrong return products, which is another story, but also you have to pay for the return logistics. Then the payout also is affected. You don't get paid properly. Reconciliation is an issue. So all of that, of course, makes marketplace a tough place to be at.
So, as you were mentioned that there are a lot of returns also. What is the weirdest thing you have received in a return?
We receive all kinds of things. So we've received suits, we've received books, kids' books. One time we received a purse. So we actually collect all of that return in a box, and every month we just open the box once, and then all my staff just takes the stuff for themselves, because what do we do with it?
One friend of mine was telling me that in an RTO, the guy received a pad, like a sanitary pad. Of course, it was not used or something, it was a fresh piece, but this is what they receive. So
In India, I think consumers are spoiled.
Yeah. एक बार टीवी का रिमोट आया था किसी को. Can you imagine an RTO with a TV remote?
Yeah. Have you done anything Similarly.
No, I though whenever something comes, like whenever I order something on cash on delivery, I always accept it. मतलब वैसे तो मैं करती नहीं हूँ वैसे ज़्यादा cash on delivery, पर अगर मैं करती हूँ, because I understand the struggle behind कि यार brand को कितना नुकसान होता है.
Cash on delivery means you have to pay 50 rupees more.
Yeah. So I make sure I never return because I understand what the person is going through.
Yes. The बोरे भर के आती I feel very bad for students. So I never do that. Yeah.
So Mansi, tell me, what do you think? What was the one thing you wish you knew sooner before starting Noba?
Okay. It's a lot harder than it seems it is. The thing is कि when you look at the P&L of an e-commerce company, आपको लगता है oh my god how much money are you making, right? Especially on marketplaces क्योंकि आपके volumes हो जाते हैं अच्छे, you're selling good. The team is working, warehouse एकदम अच्छे से चल रहा होता है, आपको लगता है इस बार तो मतलब बहुत पैसे आ जाएंगे और फिर जो पे आउट होता है
Profits आते हैं जो
तो वो profitability it's very tough to build a profitable business. So actually one of the advice that I got was कि how do you take yourself from being a seller to a brand? जब तक आप एक seller रहोगे on a marketplace, आपको एक तरह से आप नॉन डिफरेंशिएटेड प्रोडक्ट बेच रहे हो कि यू आर जस्ट वन अमंगस्ट मल्टीपल लिस्टिंग्स ऑन लेट्स से मिंत्रा. ओनली व्हेन यू आर अ ब्रांड can you actually charge some premium and can you actually think about some profit margins there. So
like how did you scale on marketplaces? Because marketplace पे सब list तो हो जाते हैं पर organically orders आना is the struggle. So how did you scale on marketplaces and like how to get like your first 100 organic reviews on a marketplace?
So it's today marketplaces are so congested.
Yeah.
There are so many brands, especially for categories like ours, which is apparel. Everybody wants to make something and just put it on marketplace, right? How can you succeed on a marketplace? I actually went and met with people, category managers from Myntra, Flipkart, everywhere. I went to Bangalore, took a day trip. Of course, they will not entertain you, right? Because you're still a very, very small brand, but you have to figure out ways. You have to, आप LinkedIn पे message करो, email करो, जो मर्जी करो. You have to get noticed by the category manager. You can also take some paid services with them ताकि you get a dedicated person. और फिर उसके बाद, and you don't realize, right? अगर आप उनको business दे रहे हो, they will do whatever for you. So for instance, with Meesho, because they were so desperate to get us on platform, they gave us a full free banner for an entire day. They gave us a special tag on their platform with Myntra, because of the current equation that we have with the category manager. तो हमको even when ad spends होते हैं, तो they give us like let's say if you're paying for 30,000, sometimes they'll give us 60,000 worth of points just because we have good relations with them. So if you're building a brand, please ensure that you manage your stakeholders well. You are in touch with them. उनसे पूछो कि अच्छा आपको क्या चाहिए. Generally उनके पास ना एक forecast होती है कि these are the kind of products that we see will do really well in the coming months. वो forecast लो. Try to produce similar things. Tell them how can you be useful to them, and they will be useful to you.
Got it. So any B school tips on how to make the e-com platform agree on a slightly lower percentage?
I have to take the class on negotiations actually, so maybe that's when I understand this more. But I think simply होता है, you have to tell them what you can do for them and then the potential that you have on your brand. Also, no, like you have to just pretend that there's a lot more than there actually is.
Yeah. So like Mansi, tell me, like you are doing like great things right now and you're just 24, 25. You are doing MBA from like one of the best business schools in the world. You are building such a smart, sustainable, like not sustainable, but a fast fashion brand in a sustainable way.
Yeah.
So like, do you think work-life balance in your 20s is a myth?
There's just so much going about work-life balance, तो work-life balance नहीं हो सकता है. You work and then you party, right? तो ठीक है, you will have days where you're working a lot. You will have days when you'll take a downtime. तो and I also heard this very interesting things from somebody जिन्होंने बोला कि as a founder आपके पास बहुत stake है, right? आप क्यों काम कर रहे हो? क्योंकि आपको पता है आप काम करोगे, you have 100% stake in the profits that you make. But as an employee, if I'm in a company, मेरी वही salary, it doesn't matter. So there should be work-life balance for employees for sure. But as a founder, I don't think work-life balance really exists.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because of the profit ratio here.
So Mansi, I have seen that Nobar also worked with white skin models, international models, and you've also worked with Indian models. So on marketplaces, do you think there was a sale jump specifically for the international white skin models? Like was there any difference you saw?
I think the main difference is in costing.
Which I didn't realize until I opened my own studio and then I was paying for these things. With white skin models, most of them would be most of them would basically do, let's say, 100 articles in an 8-hour shift versus an Indian model. I don't want to generalize, but mostly I would say that they would do maybe 40 to 50 articles. So from a cost perspective, it
It's just
More efficient.
yes, especially when you're an e-commerce brand, when you're playing in the sector.
Quick way.
quick fun.
Yeah, quick fashion, margins are low, you want to optimize wherever you can. So that way, then it just makes sense. Yeah.
आपको जल्दी तेज टिकाऊ सस्ता काम
जल्दी देना है. And they get good poses.
Yeah.
It's a good perception.
damn quick.
Yes, they're damn quick. Yes.
100 models in a day. 100 looks in a day.
It's
Yeah, they're damn quick. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't even know if I should say this, but I actually got a trial room made because when I would go to my partner studios, I would see that they did not have a trial room, and I used to feel really bad. So when I made my own studio, I made it a point कि नहीं यार trial room रखेंगे ताकि the model can comfortably change. But नहीं उनको चाहिए trial room. So that maybe that's what helps to the yeah that adds up. Yeah. Yeah.
They have targets attached. So, what do you think is the one category, especially in the tier 2, tier 3, because they are expanding at a very fast pace right now, more faster than tier 1, of course. So, what category is, can be optimized in a digital platform?
I think now with Zudio, they've now they have access to all apparel options or puri visibility hai.
What worked for Zudio?
It's very affordable. They are doing 500 rupees.
Dirt cheap.
It's very cheap. And I think what they're doing is they're taking an unorganized market in India to organized. So maybe something like a Janpat. In Janpat, maybe you'll find a 500 rupee dress. So that's what they're bringing to you in a mall, in an AC environment with trial rooms and
Yeah, with like nice tags and
Yes.
paper bags and
also
I mean, you feel if somebody is buying from Janpat, for them it seems like an upgrade, right? That now you're shopping in a good environment. So I think what is working for them is affordable pricing, good trendy designs. They're very fast with launching new designs. They might not always work for, let's say, the India one, as we call them, in terms of design. So maybe they cannot compete with a Zara or an H&M in terms of designs. But I think they are there. What else? I think, and just distribution, right? So they are present across all major pin codes.
which makes it very accessible for people to go and consume and purchase products.
now they're expanding into categories also, like they expanded into beauty and I think
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. I actually saw. So I recently went to Zudio and I saw that there's nail paint, there's clutches. So there's literally everything for you.
I saw this meme, there was this meme that एक लिफ्ट में ऐसे 6-7 लड़के खड़े हुए थे और सबने सेम टी शर्ट पहनी हुई थी and the caption was when you all shop at Zudio.
Possible.
It was so funny.
What percentage should be of your revenue on marketplaces versus what percentage should be of your revenue on your own website to build a sustainable business?
I think a lot of times people start off with their websites and then they end up on marketplaces. So in the long term, I think a 30-70 split is a good split, which is 30% on your website and a 70% on your marketplaces. I think that's a good split to have.
So and how to like build it over time, because 70% is a lot. So any 3 tips to scale on marketplaces?
I think it's a lot easier to scale on marketplaces as compared to your own brand. I felt it because for example, when we were running ads on Meta, we were not just competing with other indie brands. We were also competing with, let's say, Nykaa Fashion or Myntra that are also spending on Meta, heavily on Meta. So we stand no chance. So now, if you otherwise actually invest in marketing on these platforms, you have a much higher chance of making that 70%. So I think the real question here is, how do you get to the 30% on your website and not a 70% of the marketplace?
And like, how much do they do these marketplaces charge for like a banner or like a bestseller tag or like coming upper in the searches? Like, what is the base level price for like a week or like a month? Like, what are those packages?
It really depends, right? So for Myntra, if you think about them, for them, the most important person is not you, it's the customer.
Yeah.
So they want to ensure that in the first 5 swipes, that customer is able to add to cart at least one thing on the marketplace. So whenever somebody's at the top, it's a combination of things. First, it is a combination of how many people have ordered. Second, how many people have returned. Third, how many reviews are there. And then, of course, there's a little bit of marketing that you can do to build in some visibility for your brand. So you can't really buy your spot at the top. And I think there's also a very negative connotation when there's a sponsored tag on the product, because then you think, I mean, especially for example, if a Mango does a sponsored tag, then sure, it's fine. But if a new brand does it, then you're a little unsure.
Then you know it's paid.
It's paid, yeah.
And like, how to get like your first, say, 50 or 100 organic reviews? Of course, there are marketing agencies who do it for you, but if someone here is looking to like, get those organically, is there a way to get those?
Very simple things, right? If you just make your customer feel good about themselves. So how can that happen? When you are giving out the product, when you're packing it, you can give a small slip which says, thank you so much for ordering with us. You can do a small brand story if you like, and just say that we'd be really grateful if you could drop a little review. If you want to make it better, then you can say that if you would drop a review, and then if you, for example, send us a screenshot, we'll be happy to give you another 10% discount on our website. So you can figure out creative ways to get people, incentivize people to drag a review. Because in my experience also, I've hardly ever dropped a review for any brand. Generally, negative reviews are what people leave. So you have to incentivize your customers in some way.
I was talking to a founder only some days back, and he said this very interesting thing that अगर आपको कोई प्रोडक्ट अच्छा लगता है तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप उसको जाके पॉजिटिव फीडबैक का रिव्यू दो, पर अगर आपको हल्का सा भी कुछ उसमें फॉल्ट लगती है या पैकेजिंग खराब लगती है तो यू विल मेक श्योर that you will go on their website or Nykaa or the marketplace, and you'll comment and give a 1 star and put those sad emojis, and you'll make sure that is the thing. So
but then I feel like there's such a, especially with a consumer company, आपके पास इतना अच्छा opportunity है to build word of mouth. So अगर if your product is good, I cannot tell you. So for example, I really liked the Bliss Club sports bras. And I cannot tell you how many people have recommended it to. Or if I like a particular lip gloss, for example, I'm a very, very vocal consumer. So I think if you're able to find some of those vocal consumers for yourself, I think that's what will help you grow your brand.
So let's wrap this conversation. And just one last question before we say goodbye. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
This is an advice I live by, which is if you don't ask, the answer will always be no.
I think let's just leave it at that. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching till now. And we hope that you learned something out of this episode today. And thank you so much for giving us your time. And see you next week.